Happy New Year everyone, and welcome. Yes, my name is Arifire, and welcome back to another episode of Through the Looking Glass. We haven't done one of these for a while. I promise I'm going to get back into a bit more of a routine with these videos soon. That is my New Year's resolution, if nothing else. So yes, today we're going to take a look at one of the more famous characters in Transformers lore and history. We are taking a look at Ironhide. Now Ironhide has appeared in pretty much every form of Transformers continuity that there is, and we're only going to look at a few of them today to see what similarities or differences we can draw between them. So let's leak those lubricants and get into it. In Generation 1, when we first saw from the pilot episode, you would see Ironhide's character was very much set out early on. He was rugged, he was a hardened warrior, but fairly uninspiring. His alt mode, even his robot appearance, was very minimalist. He was a tough, rugged bot, and that came across in how he was presented, not just in his sort of Texan-like voice and rugged-like persona, but also his bot mode was very square, very uniform. He was a soldier, he was very happy to be all he was meant to be. Even though this Ironhide in the cartoon, and actually leading up to the 1986 movie, he was never depicted as a leader, he never wanted to be a leader, but was the de facto leader through his sheer grit and determination to power forward. You saw this would get Ironhide in trouble a few times as he would go on solo efforts or fool's errands to take the fight to the Decepticons, which would ultimately lead to rescue operations in some cases. Optimus would always value Ironhide immeasurably as one of his longtime soldiers as friends and rely on him for support, particularly as leader. So when it came to his untimely demise in the 1986 movie, this is probably one of the deaths that felt the most and hurt the most due to its brutal level of execution. Ironhide got a very short run out in the 1986 movie and did whatever he could do to stop Megatron and eventually attacking Autobot City. And then moving into more recent times of the IDW comics, but going kind of back to the first era, if you like, after the All Hail Megatron, you saw a continuation of what a rugged Ironhide from a Generation 1 cartoon would be like. And when you look at the All Hail Megatron miniseries in particular, and how the Autobots were stranded when Optimus was once again lying on his deathbed, you would see Ironhide very frustrated with those around him, and his grit and determination that was part of his charm in Generation 1 in a cartoon anyway, became much more distrusting of those around him and took an instant distrust to the likes of Mirage, and this would seem like his temper had reached its end. He was so angry and rugged, he almost kind of forgot what it was like to be an Autobot by this point. He felt betrayed. But again, as time went on, he became this cornerstone throughout most of the stories of the Autobots, for what was left of them by the end of it. When it came to the Till All Are One series, when you had the Combaticons, among others, sorting a bit of an uprising, there was this security force on Cybertron that was led by Ironhide, again this soldier that wasn't wanting to be a leader, but his experience alone put him in these positions. You saw a continuation, not a big difference from the cartoon in this case. One tiny little footnote that we see, actually later on you see a distant future of Cybertron, actually what is referred to as Pax Cybertronia, where these young upstart kids are kind of enjoying their life and whatever, and you see an old Alpha Trion and an old Ironhide, and by this point you see a very weathered Ironhide that even says at this point he's too old to even transform. And I thought this was a really nice touch. You would see that through all the wars and all the battles and all the politics in between, he's made it. He is old, he is withered, he's probably not got much energy left in him, but he has survived through it all. Very much a testament to Ironhide's determination to just strive and survive. But then the Unicron trilogy came along and did something completely different. This was a completely different Ironhide, a completely different character. Really, it was just a name recycled. But now we've got this upstart kid, this guy who was kind of useless, and that was very much part of his charm. What I did like about this Ironhide was, apart from he was the happy-go-lucky sort of guy, destined to prove himself to his comrades, even to the human Kicker, who he tries to befriend many times unsuccessfully. What I did like though is when you saw this Ironhide in his physical form, he looked much more interesting than his Generation 1 counterpart. There's no red here, there's nothing to do any kind of comparison between the two. But he was more interesting to look at in both modes. I actually feel the alt mode of the Cybertron character, or the Energon character, the Unicron trilogy character, looked more interesting and more suited to the Ironhide role. If you had that alt mode for the Generation 1 persona, it would actually merge quite well. And whilst this Ironhide was brought in to be sort of a comic relief, he did come across quite annoying to some people, but his charm was to be forever trying to prove himself, and would ultimately do so through just sheer persistence. And it's that grit and determination you do see linked in to the G1 Ironhide, whereas the G1 Ironhide would be much more driving through the fight and leading and rallying his friends and comrades. This Ironhide would be just driving through his own spirit to push through his own confidence and to be the best Autobot that he could be. And then we change again, we're going to go into the live action movies, and this Ironhide comes in again right from the start in 2007. But this is an Ironhide that we are a bit more familiar with. He is a weapons expert, if you like, a war marshal in that sort of sense. And this Ironhide again harks back more to the Generation 1 side. There's a ruggedness to it, particularly when you look at his alt mode. That GMC big black truck is quite something suited to the Ironhide character. There is a real war presence to it, not to mention his massive arm cannons, which he uses at every opportunity. It's a shame he has a seemingly pig-like face, but I've made that reference before. This Ironhide has quite a story throughout, and again is seen to be probably the next in line to lead the Autobots in Optimus's place. There is quite a coming of age, I would like to say, and I've used that term before as well. When you look at the Generation 1 character and how it goes into the live action movies, you can see a simple movement from that warrior-like Texan to a more honed-in warrior in the live-action movies. I mean, even at one stage he was an elephant in Beast Wars, but we're not even going to get into that today. So in summary, there have been many forms of Ironhides. I haven't even touched on the Marvel comics as well. There has been quite an incarnation of this character throughout so many years, and he continues to do so to this day. But one thing that is quite key on the Ironhide character, he's quite high up in the Autobot pecking order, whether he wants to be or not. And he also does display the similar sort of characteristics. There is a desire with him to do what is best for his situation at the time, whether it is to prove himself to his other friends and comrades, whether it is to take the fights to the Decepticons and ultimately protect the humans. There is a similarity in all continuities that he has a cornerstone of strong belief, and that really comes across in any form of continuity that he's in. But there you go, that is Ironhide Through the Looking Glass. Is there anyone else you want to see get the Through the Looking Glass treatment? Please leave a comment below, I'd love to know who you're suggesting. But thanks for watching, and as always I will see you on the next one.